Do I put myself in that situation to where I have my concealed carry, but I get pulled over for whatever reason, and then that escalates into a bigger situation than what it necessarily has to? So it's little things like that that you have to, as a black person in America, you have to think through. I can think back most recently, my brother and I, back in August, we were going to my grandfather's funeral in Louisiana. So about 9:30 in the morning, my brother's in his service dress uniform, his military uniform, and I'm in a suit. We see a police car that's pulled over, and he had someone else pulled over. My brother just slowly made the right turn. Before you know it, we see the officer in the rearview mirror jumping in his car and then putting his lights on. Automatically, your heart sinks, and it's like, okay, what's about to happen here, right? It's too early in the morning. We're on our way to a funeral. It's emotional. So he pulls us over. He asked my brother for his license and registration. So my brother's like, well, did I do anything wrong? He's like, well, don't worry about that. I just need to see your license and registration. So my brother gave him his paperwork and asked him again, like, sir, I'm in my military uniform. Did I do something wrong? We're on our way to our grandfather's funeral. So I automatically knew what it was. I can assume that it's because we were black and he was a white officer. Our vehicle was Texas plates in a Louisiana small town. And I knew he wouldn't give us any justification, but I also knew there was no reason to allow the situation to escalate because we were black. My brother is loud. He's a big guy. So I just kind of, touched him on the shoulder, and he kind of got the message: just calm down, throttle back, and let's just get through this situation. The officer went to his car, I guess ran the plates, ran the tags, and everything came back, fine, which we knew it would. But that could have easily turned into, a horrible situation on an early Saturday morning with a veteran, right after 25 years, someone who's getting ready to retire, who's in military uniform, all for no reason. And to this day, we still don't know why he actually pulled us over. But it's scary, It's pre-gaming, pre-planning, trying to be safe, trying to avoid, situations like that. So I purposely drive during the day. Should I get a concealed carry weapon license or not? Once you get that concealed carry license, you're in a database. So if you're pulled over, they're automatically going to go to that. Do I put myself in that situation to where I have my concealed carry, but I get pulled over for whatever reason, and then that escalates into a bigger situation than what it necessarily has to? So it's little things like that that you have to, as a black person in America, you have to think through. Because now you're thinking, I'm an American citizen, this is my right per the law, per the Constitution. But, if you run across an officer or someone who's having a bad day, it could go wrong real quick. And then they're justified because they felt threatened. My wife is Mexican. She's first generation Mexican. And it's little things like that that she may not necessarily see or understand. But I have to throttle back and explain to her, my thought process behind some of the moves and some of the things that I put in place for our family. 25 years in the military. Again, subtle situations. I do remember one situation. It was a 3-day weekend, and my commander and I, we were doing a walk around, just safety briefing type stuff. And there was a kid from Washington State. I went to shake his hand, and he pulled his hand back. And this white guy pulled his hand back, and my commander picked up on it, and I picked up on it. And as he pulled his hand back, our fingertips barely grazed each other, and he wiped his hands on his shirt. There has been situations like that, but it's just it happens so subtle, or it happens so often to where you just don't pay it any attention, right? You just know that that's someone else's ignorance. But you're here for one common cause, is for the mission of the military and to push things forward and push things along. So there's really no need for me to address it. That's his loss, and not necessarily mine. So it's not the life that I chose. It's just the life that God has presented me with, and I try to make the best of it. Right. Every situation isn't necessarily a racial situation. There are biases, and I think a lot of times it's people's ignorance. Everyone's not a racist, but I think everyone has some sorts of biases. When you go into a room, you watch the dynamics and how it just kind of shifts and see who flocks to who. I could think of a leadership situation I was in a room sort of like this, is we all came into the room and we all sat down. All the white males shifted to one side. Certain people will feel that there's no hope. Where are we going? What are we doing? I think it's just, leaning on your faith and, tuning some of those things out. Mentors, friends, people who are in the fight that want to help and want to make a difference. I think that's what gives me hope that things are changing, things have changed. But I also know that certain situations will always be the gift and the curse.